What can I say? Mistakes happen sometimes. At least I was lucky enough to catch it in time. We narrowly avoided a disaster. Just a quick disclaimer, none of this footage is from the actual moments described. In the moment I was much more focused on ensuring my pet's welfare and making sure I fixed the issue rather than documenting it and losing time, risking their health as a result. So the tank's been up and running for a while now. The fish additions haven't caused a single issue, and thankfully, since adding them I've seen a definite decline in shrimp babies. They're keeping the population in check, and although they're snacking on the odd snail, they focus much more of their time on the hatchling shrimp. So Sunday morning I woke up to be greeted by a few dead shrimp. Just a few. A strange occurrence for them to die the same night as each other. But there are a lot of them, and I've had some of them for quite some time now. The other alternative is maybe adding the fish, and the increase in shrimp and snail population has caused a rise in nitrates, turning the water toxic. I wasn't too alarmed. Sunday's my animal day where I do all the extra bits. Weekly water changes on all the tanks, clean out Gary and Phil's enclosure, decide what video to do for the following week, and keep up with the maintenance I don't have time for in the working week. So I cracked on with the water change and didn't think much of it. Because besides, if there was an issue, the change is going to fix it. Everything was fine. Well, I typically go to sleep around 3 AM just because of the hours I work. 1 AM, the tank lights had been out for a couple hours, and I noticed almost every single shrimp was either at the surface of the tank or literally climbing out the water onto the filter and bogwood. Shrimp tend to do this when there's something wrong with the water. They desperately clamber around, hoping to find a new water source before drying out. Desperate times call for desperate measures. My first thoughts were the nitrates must be high. Maybe the increase in population of shrimp and snails with the addition of fish had increased the bioload far beyond what the filter is able to cope with. Or should I say the bacteria population inside the filter that we rely on. It'd be a bit strange given the water change, but it seemed like the most likely issue. Whipped out my test kit to be given perfect results. 0 ammonia, 0 nitrite, and around 20 nitrate parts per million. It can't get better than that. And then I noticed all the fish were at the surface of the water gasping. You've probably guessed the issue by now. There's normally only 2 causes of this. Poor water quality, normally in the case of a bacterial bloom, which generally clouds the water as well. A telltale sign. But as you can see, the water's crystal clear, and we'd done a 60% water change just a few hours ago. So the other option, lack of available oxygen. The gills on the fish were all looking inflamed and bright red. It's not the strongest filter in the world, and we rely on surface movement to dissolve oxygen from the air into the water. So maybe the increase in population was the issue and I was right, but just with the wrong factor. The increase in population increased the oxygen demand far beyond what the surface movement was able to provide. An issue I've never had to deal with before. Quick solution is another water change. The fresh water poured from the tap and then again from the watering can into the tank provides a quick, instant, easy source of already dissolved oxygen. Immediately, the shrimp settled in the tank and the fish stopped gasping. This won't last though, and it clearly isn't a long-term fix. So I also added an aerator to the tank. Realistically, the bubbles don't do much in the way of diffusing oxygen. The large bubbles don't have a large enough surface area, and the speedy flight to the surface doesn't allow proper time for diffusion. But what the bubbler did help with, which is much more effective, disturbing the surface of the water. a much better way of ensuring diffusion for increased oxygen content within the water. Now all I could do is wait for morning and hope I've done enough to sort the issue for the time being. If I hadn't caught this when I had, then I'm very confident most, if not all, would have perished overnight. All occupants at the surface and leaving the water, they probably wouldn't have lasted till morning. I considered not posting this with the concern it might make me look bad. In hindsight, I should have investigated the dead shrimp a bit further. But at the same time, I don't have an oxygen test kit. It's never been an issue for me. So I probably wouldn't have found the culprit anyway, without the animals displaying the behaviour that led me to the solution. Either way, I've always believed that the mark of a good pet keeper is the willing to change and keep up with current practices even if they oppose what you've done for years. And also being attentive to your pets, noticing when something's not quite right and doing what you can to resolve it. Sometimes there's simply nothing you can do, and it is what it is. But in this circumstance, I was fully able to fix the issue, and if I hadn't paid attention, then I'd have a dead aquarium right about now. It's been a few days since then, there hasn't been an issue since. No gasping, no one going to the surface, it's absolutely fine. I'm also considering getting an external filter, just to help with the rate of flow, and to increase the maximum capacity bioload. I guess it just goes to show, it doesn't matter how experienced you are, or how long you've kept animals. I've kept fish for over 10 years now and I've only just experienced one of the most basic issues possible, for the first time ever.